right, let's get started. Welcome everyone to our Master Seller webinar. My name is Michelle Ostowski. I'm a Partner Marketing Manager for Google Apps, and I'm excited to be joined today by a company called Voice Mobility. Voice Mobility manufactures and markets unified communication solutions for small, medium business, enterprise, and campus customers. And today they're specifically going to be discussing a solution called Vmerge for Google Apps. So here with us from Voice Mobility is David Petramala, a product solutions specialist. David's going to be walking us through today's presentation, and he'll be joined at the end by John Gavin, the Regional Director of Sales for Voice Mobility. And then we also have Rob Collins, the Director of Marketing, on the webinar to help moderate and answer any questions. In a bit, David will also be introducing us to guests from Serena Software. Serena is one of Voice Mobility's customers that has implemented Vmerge with its existing phone system. They're using Vmerge so employees across 29 offices worldwide can have unified access to corporate communications regardless of their location or time zone. So before we get started, I want to remind everyone that we, as always, are recording this webinar. The recording and the presentation are both going to be posted on the solution provider site by the end of today. So please check back there in a few hours, and we should have everything up. And as always, please do ask questions throughout the webinar. You're going to notice that there's two chat boxes on the right side of your WebEx screen. There's a general chat box, and then below that is a Q&A chat box. It's really important that all questions go in the Q&A chat box in the bottom right. That's going to help make sure that Voice Mobility sees your questions, and we can keep track of them and make sure we answer as many as possible while on the webinar. So again, there's the general chat box at the top, and then there's a Q&A specific chat box below that in the bottom right. Please put all of your questions there. So with that in mind, let's get started. I'm going to hand it over to David. David, take it away.
Well, thank you very much, Michelle. Welcome, everybody. And as Michelle mentioned, today we're here to talk about the Voice Mobility solution, Vmerge. And today, what I'm going to do is provide you a general overview of what the product is, the positioning of the solution with Google Apps, with other vendors and other solutions for customers. And then I'm going to walk you through some of the applications that are available today in the current release, provide you a little bit of a roadmap of what's coming in the next release, walk you through some packaging and pricing, and then introduce Serena, which will give you an example of a live customer that's leveraged the technology with Google Apps. And we'll go from there. So let's get started. And I'm going to move to the first slide. So what is Unified Communications, or UC, for Google Apps? So in our case, Vmerge is this application that adds unified communication solutions to your existing Google Apps environment. So what we basically do is we integrate your Google Apps hosted solution with on-premise infrastructure and applications. So the Vmerge is a product that sits in your business, connects to your existing phone system, a new VoIP system, or even a legacy TDM phone system, so it doesn't have to be a brand new infrastructure. It works with your existing environment, logs into Google Apps, and bridges the two together so you have, within your Google Apps environment, live communications, dialing, call control, unified messaging, everything natively out of Google Apps. And when you're not in Google Apps, if you're driving in your car or you're sitting at your desk and you pick up your phone, you have direct access into your Google Apps inbox to check, manage, and access every type of message. Voice, fax, email, your contacts to do live dialing. So it brings real-time live communications, mobility, enterprise presence, conferencing, unified messaging to that Google environment. And again, it links Google Apps and Voice to your enterprise phone system and other existing business applications. So not only will we integrate your phone system into Google Apps, but we'll also bridge into other applications such as, let's say, Salesforce.com, Microsoft Dynamics, one solution that will deliver live communications to existing applications on site and natively into Google Apps. So from an architecture overview, or sort of a visual diagram, what you have is the Vmerge, which is this application. It's a SIP-based application that sits on an appliance PC that basically links through to your existing phone system using native protocols. We support over 200 odd different phone systems out there, both legacy and brand new Cisco Avaya equipment. And then we log into Google Apps so we can deliver live communications. So you can do live communications in Google Apps, but leverage your business infrastructure that provides you sort of the least cost dialing, controls, audits, and reporting, because it's integrated to your existing infrastructure. And then at the same time, we can link into other elements, such as other business solutions like Salesforce.com and Microsoft Dynamics, so you can natively dial out of there and get logs and audits of your calls. And then we do other things such as register remote devices. So we can register your cell phone, your home phone, so it all links into your office infrastructure. And we'll get into how we use that functionality to also bridge in and provide the ability to use Google Voice within your office infrastructure as well. So from a business case, we're really providing what we see to a business a much better choice. When you combine Vmerge with Google Apps and your existing infrastructure, it is like a complete dynamic difference between what you would have to do to deliver what we call unified communications, live mobility, presence, and messaging from other more traditional vendors. So if you look at a Microsoft solution, IBM or Novell solution, you're talking about multiple servers, multiple applications, a ton of management, a ton of applications, a big footprint to deliver this full suite. So for a lot of small, mid-sized businesses, 500 users or less, they have to sacrifice a lot of applications because they just can't afford to deploy it, or they just can't afford to manage all those solutions. From our perspective, going to Google Apps and then leveraging Vmerge, you can now access all these applications in basically a much smaller footprint with single point of management, single point of access to applications. So not only is the Google Apps portion in the cloud where there's no infrastructure footprint locally, but even the Vmerge consolidates multiple solutions like a speech server, mobility server, presence, desktop dialing, fax, conferencing. All that becomes one single solution where your traditional vendors, whether it's an Avaya, Nortel, Cisco, with a Microsoft, each one of those components would be a separate application, a separate deployment with major costs. So we really see this as obviously a much greener solution where you're dramatically reducing power consumption to deliver this functionality, and a much more cost-competitive solution in terms of the amount of hardware, the amount of management, and the amount of applications you need to deploy to deliver all this functionality to a business. In terms of what's available today in the current release, there's some core features that we've deployed and are using today within businesses leveraging Vmerge for Google Apps. So the key thing is unified messaging. So what happens right when you turn the box on, all your voicemail, faxes, they all are managed by Vmerge, and they end up natively in your Gmail inbox through Google Apps. When you look at a message, read a message, your phone system is integrated in, so the message light goes out. So it's fully not just delivering messages in Google Apps, it's integrated down to your local phone system infrastructure. If you're driving in over your car and you dial in, it will tell you how many voicemails, emails, you can listen to your emails, respond to emails, reply to emails, and when you log into Google Apps on your computer, you'll see all the red, marked, and deleted messages. So it's giving you anywhere access to all your messages, even though Google Apps is sitting there in the cloud. We provide you...
Dave, excuse me, it's Rob. We've got a question from one of the participants, and that is if there is integration to Skype.
Yes, we actually, well, in the current release, I will tell you that there isn't. I'll walk you through some of the stuff in the next release. In the next release, we support federation of Skype presence and access to Skype dialing. It's part of our next release for Google Apps, so you can actually integrate Skype into dialing with the Vmerge solution. When I get to the new feature set, I'll highlight where the Skype fits in. So obviously we provide you speech access, so we are a speech server, and what we do is we allow people to call your business, say your name, say a department. We'll look at the person's availability and process the call, as well as when you dial in, you can use speech to access your Gmail inbox. So while you're driving, you sort of have a hands-free access to manage, respond, to make live phone calls, as well as compose and manage email over the phone. We natively have a fax service, so you can not only receive faxes in your Gmail, you can also send faxes natively out of Gmail using the UC server as a trusted gateway. And on top of that, because we're a SIP-based solution, the Vmerge also has an add-on component that would allow you to do meet-me conferencing or audio bridging. So people can call in to personal rooms. We support up to 24 concurrent people in a room to do group collaboration. We add some mobility features, speech-enabled auto attendance, speech access to your corporate directory, speech access to your Google contacts, so you can send messages and make live phone calls. We allow you to develop custom IVRs, so you can do self-provisioning, and you can layer speech on top of that. And then the other big thing is, as I mentioned before, and I'll show you a little example of this, is you can integrate Google Voice with your corporate DID number. So for those of you that don't know what a DID number, most of us already have a business number, a number that people call and rings our desk phones. So what we provide is the ability to register your Google Voice number behind that. So people still call that same number, but based on your availability, your location, and presence, we can actually go out, instead of ring your phone at your desk, ring your Google Voice number and use all the rules that you've configured behind that. We also provide click-to-dial, so we have a software service currently that allows you to dial from any Windows-based application in the current release. Next release allows you to extend that to any OS. And basically you can dial from contacts, inbox, from your calendar. It integrates with your PBX, so it's not just click-to-dial. When you do click-to-dial, it'll look to see what phone system Vmerge is connected to. So if Vmerge is connected to an Avaya, it'll actually get the Avaya to make the phone call you based on what number you're at, and bridge the call. So you get least cost routing with your enterprise phone system, but with simple, easy mobile access to dial from any part of the application.
Okay, again, on the topic of Avaya, there's a question in about integration with Avaya's IP office. Can you talk about that? Thanks.
So we obviously support Avaya's IP office. Several ways of doing that. You can do Tappy Wave, you can do SIP trunks with Tappy, or you can do analog and Tappy. We support multiple interfaces to the Avaya IP office. And then another real key application that's available today is call recording and call logging. So the Vmerge has the facility to press a button or press a button on your computer to start recording conversations or record an incoming call. So we can record calls and conference calls if you're using our conference bridge. And then what it does is it records the call, logs it, and then it moves it, doesn't emails it, it securely deposits it into Google Apps into a Gmail account. So some companies would set up, for example, in a conference room, a Gmail account for the conference room, so every conversation that's recorded is then uplifted into Google Apps with, really unlimited storage. We're storing these in compressed wave formats, 5K per second, so you can get a ton of conversations stored in the cloud that you can then leverage Google Apps with its indexing and search capabilities to search based on name, number, because what Vmerge does is it looks at the caller ID, it reconciles the caller ID with your contact list, so when it records the call, it actually provides the person you recorded their name, their number, and details. So you can then later log into Google Apps and search for specific conversations based on dates and names. Great little vertical application for legal, financial, medical, or any type of industry that requires some compliance issues where they need things to be stored and accessed at a future date.
Hi, Dave. We've got another integration question on 8x8 VoIP solutions.
Well, 8x8 is SIP trunking, right? If you're using their hosted PBX, Vmerge is a SIP-based solution, and it has its own embedded SIP stack. So we absolutely can connect to any sort of hosted SIP provider if that's what you're using. If you're not using a PBX and you're using hosted voice, we could absolutely connect to that. If you're using 8x8 for SIP trunking, just to make your long-distance lines, it's connected to your phone system. Vmerge is connected to your phone system. So by nature, we'll be able to support it because we're actually just telling the phone system to do all the dialing and the integration. So depending on your configuration, that's how you would deploy Vmerge to support that. So this is an example of unified messaging. So I go into my Vmerge inbox. So I don't go to a different folder. It's right in my native inbox. It tells me I have a voicemail with the name and number. And one of the options we provide is transcription. So we actually not only provide you the message in either a compressed wave file, which is GSM wave, 5K per second. And the nice thing about that is it'll work on any mobile device. So whenever you pick up the message on a BlackBerry or an iPhone or a Google Android device, you don't have to worry. It's going to play. It's a format that all the devices support, and it's very compressed, so it won't take up any bandwidth, and it'll work flawlessly. We also support MP3. The advantage of MP3 is it leverages the native Google Voice Player to play back the audio file. It's also a good compression, but not as good as the GSM Wave, so you have the option, and it doesn't have as much interoperability on those devices as the Wave does at the current state. The transcription is secure transcription, so we upload it to Nuance, and it gets transcribed and then deposited back into your office voicemail. Your message light goes on. You can still listen to the voicemail, but now if you pick it up on your BlackBerry or your iPhone, you can actually read the voicemail and respond to it. We also provide access to, obviously, faxes natively in your inbox. Those faxes are delivered either as a TIFF or as a PDF. Your choice on how the formats are viewed. Again, they're both very well compressed. It's based on interoperability. PDFs naturally have native viewers in many devices. The TIFF provides auto previews that some people prefer. But again, we deliver a fax comes in, Vmerge detects it's a fax, knows who it's for, and puts it right into their voicemail box, and then syncs it up right into Google Apps, so people just view it right from their Google inbox. And then when they view the message and read it, your message light goes out, and it's marked as a read or deleted message. If you're calling in remotely, it'll tell you you have a fax, and you have the option to redirect the fax to a remote fax machine. So, for example, I'm on the West Coast. I could send that fax. Even though I have a fax while I'm driving, I could send it to the hotel fax machine and have it printed out waiting for me when I get there. And finally, recorded conversation. So when you record a call, we actually tag it as a recorded conversation. It'll tell you who it's from. If the caller ID is provided, it'll reconcile it with your database, your contact list, and then you have an option to even have that conversation transcribed. So you have basically a text record of that conversation. So think from a legal perspective, if a lawyer was using this in a conference room, every time they had meetings, they could record the meetings. It would be uplifted into Google Apps. They could search for a conversation based on a keyword, such as murder, arson, and it would pull up all messages that have that word in it, and because by the nature of being transcribed, that they'd have a text portion of that besides the audio file that would allow it to search based on keywords. And then obviously we talk about dialing. We provide a service on the desktop that allows you to do click to dial. And when we do click to dial, it's actually registered to your office phone system or whatever office phone infrastructure. If you're using hosted VoIP, the hosted VoIP service. If you're using an on-prem phone system, the on-prem phone system. If you're using a mobile phone, like for today I'm on my cell phone is registered to my Office PBX through the Vmerge. When I do click to dial, Vmerge calls me on my cell phone. I answer, and on the other end, Vmerge is dialing the number that I want. So I'm never making a long-distance phone call from my cell phone. I'm always receiving calls from my office, and then the people I'm calling never see my cell phone caller ID. They see the office phone number. So it provides you mobility with security and privacy behind that.
Hey, Dave, we've got a couple questions on transcription. The first one is the time lag between when a conversation or a conference occurs and when the transcription is complete.
Well, it all depends on, I mean, if we're just transcribing voicemails, that ranges from 30 seconds to 2 minutes, depending on the length of the message. If it's a conversation, obviously these are conversations, the ranges are anywhere from, again, they can start as little as 30 seconds for if it's a 1 minute conversation, you're talking about probably a minute to wait, and it depends on the length. So, you know, as I said, a 1 minute conversation, maybe 1 minute to wait, that would give you a good ratio of the time delay between a conversation and transcription. Remember, what happens is when we're recording a conversation, it's actually going to a HIPAA-compliant call center where there's people manually transcribing that audio file. So conversations are more, the importance is accuracy. So there will be more time delay, probably 1 minute per minute, one minute per minute of conversation. But for voicemails, there is an option for 100% automation, which is much quicker because it's completely automated. And typically, a voicemail is less than 30 seconds, so it's relatively quick. It's under a minute.
Okay, thanks for that. And one other question is, I'll just read it. So your recording is considered compliance recording for the financial industry? That's the question. That's
right, because when I'm recording, it's being recorded on-premise, and it's not being emailed to an email account. It's actually being uplifted over HTTPS, securely deposited into the account. And it's not some open Gmail account, it's a Google Apps account.
Okay, and one more is, are the recorded calls also transcribed?
You have an option. So transcribing voicemails is very cheap. It's I think it's 4 cents or 5 cents a message. Transcribing a conversation where it actually records each caller when they call is a bit more money, but it's supported and it's a special service. So you have the option. You can pick either or based on the application you're selling to or the application you have in your business. We support both.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, so we talked about mobility. I'll skip this because this is just showing you other areas within Google Apps you can dial from. So at this point, what I want you also to see is remotely, if I call in, what I would hear through Vmerge. So Rob is going to play you an audio file so you can hear someone dialing into their Google inbox and listening to the messages and responding and replying to the messages. So I'll hand it off to Rob to let everyone hear sort of a snippet of the sort of access over a phone with no internet access.
Okay, here it goes.
So what we want to show you here is actually accessing my Google inbox from the phone. So I'm going to call into my phone.
You have 23 unread email messages. You're available and your current location is in office. To listen to unread messages in your inbox, press 1 to listen to. From Rack. Subject Telecommunications and Data Communications Handbook. Telecom for non-engineers. Telecommunications and Data Communications
I wanted to reply to Ray.
Telecom for non-engineers. Begin speaking at the tone. When you're finished, press pound.
Thanks, Ray. I appreciate the useful information. Please get it back to my sales engineers when they have a chance.
To send your message, press reply sent. What would you like to do with the original message?
I can mark it red.
Message, press 1. Message saved. From Jeff Allen.
Okay, back to you, Dave.
So, if you want, we've got several. If you go to Voice Mobility's YouTube page or channel, there's several videos showing you not only access through Google Apps, but phone access. You get a better, more detailed feel. But that gives you a good snippet of what I would have. I basically have no internet access, just phone access to the same interfaces if I had my browser open and navigating through my Google Apps inbox. And this just shows on your mobile phone, you can run a search and pick up a conversation, and read it, listen to it, just as if you were in front of your computer. You have conferencing, so again, it allows you to go into a conference. It's a meet me room, add up to 24 other people to talk live and collaborate. It's very similar to this session, but without the web collaboration. Our idea is that would be a conference bridge you could leverage, let's say, with future applications from Google like Wave or other solutions you may use like WebEx. And it'll give you a lower cost usage because it's integrated to your Office phone system. And again, you can provide local dials for international conferences and allows you to quickly set up on-the-fly virtual meetings. And now this is where I was mentioning about Google Voice support. So the idea here is you get a Google Voice number, and you probably use your Google Voice number for personal usage. Well, now you can take that Google Voice number and register it with Vmerge as a trusted extension. So Vmerge is connected to your Office phone system. It now has the Google Voice number in its profile for you. And when people call you, they can dial your Office DID or call your office and say your name, and then Vmerge can go and initiate a call on your Google Voice number. The advantages, though, is if you do not answer, Vmerge will bring the call back into your Office voicemail system, so you can get the message light integration and then everything into Google Apps as a native file in a single inbox.
Dave, can you talk about what languages are supported?
Currently, Vmerge supports English, Spanish, French, both Parisian and Quebecois, German, and Italian and Dutch. Those are the languages currently available in the Vmerge platform.
Thanks.
No problem. In terms of configuration, it's the nice thing about working with Google Apps, it's pretty straightforward. The Vmerge logs into the company's Google Apps domain, leveraging the Google Apps credentials for that particular domain. And then each user puts in their Google Apps credentials within Vmerge so it can authenticate and synchronize the two. Again, it gives you local survivability. So if internet is down and you only have your local area network access, Vmerge is still up and running and answering and processing calls. And when your internet's back up, Vmerge will then upload and synchronize with Google Apps all the events while it was down. The nice thing is the configuration, for those people looking to resell something like this to their customers, the configuration and setup is identical for every customer because you're not working with on-premise email configurations and collaboration. You're working with Google Apps, which is in the cloud, same setup configuration every time. A small, go in and you pick your phone system, the make, model. If it's not in there, let's say it's a SIP service, you can pick SIP and configure SIP ports, and it will log into the existing PBX either direct through SIP and TAPI and CSTA and XML, depending on the PBX and the protocol it supports, or for real old phone systems, we can go SIP to analog, SIP to T1, SIP to QSIG. So we can provide any interface to any phone system you have on site, and then we would log into Google Apps and bridge the two together. So from a business case, when you add Google Apps with Vmerge, you really have the complete Office communication suite: email, collaboration, mobility, presence, unified messaging, at a fraction of the overhead, a fraction of the staff management, fraction of power consumption, greater interoperability protocol. It's a standard protocol used in the voice world to integrate telephony over IP. So applications that want to talk to a phone system over IP would use SIP as a protocol to log in, negotiate, and communicate with that phone system. So most of the, like when someone said 8x8 and even Skype offers that protocol to a gateway, which then talks to the UC client that delivers the application that's pushed to the desktop. In version 8.0, it's available as a desktop or web gadget that will work across any OS with no software installation. We've integrated Google Desktop Search, so you can have mini call centers. When a call comes in, we're going to get caller ID, and we're going to do screen pops on the desk and search your desktop for relevant documents, emails, anything related to that caller that's calling in. And the big thing is we're going to get the caller ID, and then we're going to do a reverse lookup on Google Contacts so it's accurate and pull up relevant information. So for a small business, they could instantly set up a mini call center with 3 or 4 agents with not a major investment, leveraging native Google tools with the Vmerge. We've integrated Google Calendar into Presence integration. So if you're in a meeting, Vmerge knows it's going to send calls, and then we're giving you access over the phone to your Google contacts, as well as we've integrated presence to Google Talk. So if I pick up the phone and make a phone call, in Google Talk, integrated rich phone presence into Google Talk. So this Google Talk presence is some of the stuff that we've done with Salesforce. So this is where I'll get into the details of what we do with Salesforce. So obviously within Google Talk, we actually give you your office status, your delivered within Google Talk. That's obviously supported in Salesforce. When people call in, if you've got our Salesforce connector, we'll actually pop up. We leverage the Salesforce CTI connector now. So when a call comes in, we pop up the relevant record out of Salesforce on phone call. We actually track and log the time, duration, and the call within Salesforce. So that's a new service that is now available. So we've integrated outbound and inbound calling with your on-premise PBX through Vmerge, as well as when you integrate Google Talk into Salesforce, we provide that added telephony presence in that Google Talk window as well.
Dave, I've got a couple more for you. Is there a REST API available for integration with other web-based SaaS services?
Yeah, so we do have an API. So we have an API connected that today, out of the box, it supports Salesforce.com, Microsoft Dynamics, Microsoft Outlook, Goldmine, and ACT, and it's called, the other one is an HR SaaS solution. Well, we have a connector that allows you to build your own integration. So it's an open API that you can write your own scripts and integrate it to on-premise or off-site applications, and allows you to implement things like screen pops, dialing, and call control. So it's an open API that you can write your scripts in and integrate our services into it.
Okay, and two more. One is Google Chrome supported?
Well, Google is Chrome supported, and by nature, we're obviously Chrome supported, because when you're in Chrome, and I use Chrome on my desktop, you have full access to all your messages. You can do click to dial out of Chrome. So today, all the features I talked about work in Chrome. And our web gadget, you can see a little bit here. See, this is an example of our web gadget that gives you access to making phone calls in your corporate directory. That web gadget works in Chrome as well.
Great. And one more question here. Is there a UC software client, or is it only accessible via the browser?
There is a client. So as I mentioned, today it is an actual client that you push to the desktop. Okay? You can use AD, or you can use different type of push methods to push the software to the desktop that gets installed. Today, that's actually what happens. And that installed client allows you to drive click to dial from your browser, but it's actually software on your desktop. In the next release, you have the option. You can either retain that software, or what we got, lots of the feedback was, I want to have absolutely no software deployment. I want everything as a web service. So now you have the option to get the full functionality of that desktop software as a web service, as a web gadget without deploying. So you have the option for either or. So as you can see in this slide, we deliver our locations, availability, our dialing, our corporate directory gadgets as a desktop and as a web gadget. And this just shows you what we do. So again, you can configure turning screen pops on, and then using the desktop software, it'll actually drive a screen pop using a Google desktop search based on caller ID to pop up all the content on your computer that's associated to that incoming caller. So again, it's like a nice little mini call center application without investing in call center infrastructure. It's just taking advantage of the Vmerge, Google desktop search, and caller ID. So again, the key values for Vmerge for Google Apps is going to deliver you a full unified communication portfolio at a fraction of the cost compared to other vendors such as Microsoft, Cisco, IBM, Avaya. It'll work with all those existing phone systems, Cisco, Avaya, NEC, Toshiba, Nortel, you name it. It links not only your phone system with hosted Google Apps, but other business applications. And we mentioned that you can take our APIs and extend it to other SaaS solutions as well. It really solves the SMB, you know, that 500 user or less market segment that have budget issues and have staff issues that would like to deploy a lot of this live communications but can't afford or justify the rip and replace mentality that exists in the industry, where they can now just take this and enable existing infrastructure. And again, it works across any OS or business infrastructure with minimum cost of deployment but maximum access to your communication tools. So at this point, I've given you sort of a good solid overview of the product, what's available today, what's available in the upcoming release, some of the costing and packaging. I want to give you an example or introduce now Serena Software and what they've currently done with Google Apps within their organization. So maybe I'll pass this to you, Rob, or Michelle for an introduction, and then we'll get, I guess, Aaron.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Michelle, can you pass along the baton to Aaron, and we'll get him to talk about how Vmerge for Google Apps was implemented with Serena.
I sure can. Aaron, you should be all set.
All right, thanks. So yeah, it's been almost a year now since Serena Software decided that we were going to move over to Google Apps, move off our existing Exchange infrastructure, and move the entire organization over to Google. Once that decision was made, we knew that we needed to find a voicemail solution that would not only synchronize with Gmail, but it needed to retain the current features that we currently had, as well as provide us with new features that our legacy system didn't offer to us. So as an IT team, we set off to create our lists of must-haves and nice-to-haves. And together with these haves, we figured the new unified solution had to be one that would move us forward with Google as our email platform and avoid the risk of stepping backwards in our voicemail platform. So we created this list of must-haves, and here's a few of the things that we knew that we had to have in this new voicemail system. The system had to integrate with our current phone system. That included call answer and message waiting indicators. We also needed the complete unified communications mailbox. We needed voice, email, and fax to be synchronized into one inbox, which would be accessible via the phone or through the Gmail web interface. Along with that, we needed a system to be highly reliable with business continuity. We needed a new voicemail solution to fit into our current phone system design that has call answer on multiple sites globally. We needed multiple language support, and obviously we have offices in multiple time zones. Along with that, one of the things we had to have is a robust notification feature. So our IT hotline, our customer support lines, anytime you call in out of hours, you'll be prompted to leave a voicemail for support, and we needed reliable escalations to management and on-call technicians so that we could get back and service the customer as quickly as possible. Along with these must-haves, we had some nice-to-haves, things that would have been an added benefit in this new solution. So obviously we needed an ease of administration from one central database. We needed the ability to stand up this new system with little training for both our administrators and our end users. We were, like I say, migrating from Exchange over to Google Apps. We figured that's a big enough change for the employees that we didn't also want to have to explain to them how their new voicemail system was going to work. So we wanted this to be as transparent as possible to our employees. Another benefit that we were looking for was the click-to-dial from within a web browser. Our sales reps use Salesforce.com, and the number of calls we're making throughout a day, can be quite a few. So the added benefit of just being able to click-to-dial from the web browser saves our employees some time. We wanted to be able to automate some of our call routing with auto attendance. We also needed a flexible system. Moving to Google shows that Serena is a fairly flexible organization. We needed this system to meet our needs today, but also be flexible enough to be modified to meet our needs tomorrow. Finally, the implementation needed to be straightforward, as we had plans to migrate both Google Apps and the new voicemail system globally in just one weekend. So we basically decided to make, it was a big bang, as we called it. Everybody would move from Exchange to Google Apps over a weekend. We would also move off of the old voicemail system over to the new voicemail system on that same weekend. So in order to meet these needs, we looked to Vmerge by Voice Mobility. The Vmerge solution enabled our employees to have unified access to all their communications directly from Google Apps, regardless of their location or time zone. Vmerge also gave us the message waiting indicators and that robust notification feature set, which we constantly rely on. To this point, the system has proven to be highly reliable, and we were able to migrate all of our users from Exchange and our old voicemail system over to Google Apps and Vmerge in the course of one weekend. So that's kind of a quick summary on Serena's migration over to Vmerge.
Great, thanks, Aaron. And on the next slide, if you can advance it, John Gavin will talk about some of the options of partnering with voice mobility.
John, I just gave you presentation privileges, so you should be able to move forward.
Okay. For some reason, I'm not being able to advance the slide, Michelle.
There we go. I did it for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
As part of an engagement process with VMI, we are a 100% channel-focused organization. We do not have a direct sales force. So what we provide is two alternatives to go to market with the Vmerge for Google Apps capability as a referral partner. Basically, that allows you to bring your clients. We go customer-facing with you, provide the engineering support, the pricing, everything associated with your sale, and then we provide you margins back on that sale as a one-time referral fee or commission, if you will. So basically, we're looking at providing a 10 to 15% off of our list price that David referred to earlier. So that's one reference point. Again, we provide all the engineering, all the services associated with it, and again, direct facing customer support for that. The other is a standard, as most of you are more familiar with, a certified business partner. That entitles you to some of our online training certifications, multiple different connectivity with your customer, facing support from our engineering, a demo system that allows you to have one that you can demo. So it provides you more flexibility and a full turnkey capability to go to market with VMI. So basically, those are our two possibilities of, again, referral and certified partners, as well as we provide a complete online certification capability for our partners as well. Not very time-consuming and very easy to administrate, and not, again, a big drain on your IT staff. So all this information, along with demos, my contact information can all be found at our www.voicemobility website, and I would be glad to go into further detail on both of these programs.
Okay, and I think, David, did you have anything else? David, did we lose you?
Sorry, no, I was on mute. Sorry,
Okay,
Michelle.
that's okay.
No, I don't think I have anything else to add there, other than I'll be more than happy to assist with any questions that the group has.
Okay.
Okay, we've got a few questions coming in, so probably for you, David. For users with a microphone and speaker on their PC, is there a gadget you can put on your website that allows them to initiate a call to you from their computer?
Yeah, currently, in the current release, no. In the 8.0, the one that's coming, the web gadget I mentioned before, you can configure that. It actually works with Google Sites, so you can actually add that gadget into Google Sites, which would allow people to initiate a phone call. What it'll do is when they initiate call, they put in the number that they're at, and it will tell Vmerge, and Vmerge will pick up the PBX and dial them on whatever number they're on, whether it's a IP number or a physical phone. You can actually implement the dial-back gadget in Google Sites.
Great, and a couple other questions here. What is the sweet spot as far as customer size, number of handsets?
Yeah, I mean, this application typically is focused at 25 users or greater. You know, we have many organizations smaller, but you know, really the value prop and the need for what we're doing around unified messaging and speech routing and auto attendant really comes at about 25 users or greater.
That's great. And can you just kind of break down the cost for SMB customers?
Well, again, in an SMB customer, we have the small business version. It would run on a small Windows box. It would sit there, and again, I mentioned it's about $60 a user. That includes hardware, but at a minimum of 25 users. Smaller than 25 users, that price goes up because the starting price for full unified communications with Google Apps for 25 users, which is the entry point, even though you may deploy less. I think the MLP on that with hardware is about $3,500.
That's great. Thanks, Dave. And I think that's pretty much it for questions, unless there's a couple that you want to type in the Q&A section now.
I saw there was a question about Sugar CRM. Sugar CRM, we obviously will work. I mean, today without using the API, you would be able to dial out of Sugar CRM. If you wanted to do screen pops, you could use the API we have to pull up records on incoming calls. So you could actually write that script for Sugar CRM. We do work. So, for example, some of you may be using Asterisk. So smaller businesses may be using Asterisk phone systems. That is absolutely a phone system that Vmerge already supports today. We are natively integrated into Asterisk as a add-on application using SIP integration.
Great. And there's one here, John. Perhaps you can address this one. This is what has been the reaction or resistance to your Google account executives have encountered in trying to replace Microsoft, and what has been your success? Also, what has been the best market segments in this economy?
I think overall, Rob, we've had great success in combining our capabilities with the Google sales team. The primary concern most companies have is, again, moving away from a premise-based Microsoft application into the Google Apps world. That's easily overcome. And the value that the Vmerge application brings in a competitive environment, I think you've seen through the presentation today that we bring what Microsoft OCS does plus more at a better price point. So we've seen great success against Microsoft, again, with our capabilities to integrate to multiple PBXs, be it the newer versions, SIP-based applications, or even the older versions. Really, now we provide a lot of intelligence to that environment in conjunction with Google. So we've seen great success, great traction, and there really has been no negative feedback on our go-to-market.
I might add, Rob, that there's a lot of interest, or there's a lot of opportunity right now in this economy within education and government, because those are two segments that are looking for productivity applications and to control costs. So again, in education, many of these Microsoft environments can't even afford to migrate up to the latest version of Exchange. So it's a great chance to talk about migrating to Google Apps and also not lose any, sacrifice any functionality that they may have been looking at going to the latest version of Microsoft. The other thing to be cognizant of, many government, many education facilities are on Novell. And most of those organizations are looking at what are my options to move. And Google Apps represents a viable option versus a Microsoft solution, especially when you combine it with, let's say, a Vmerge for a total communication platform at a much, much lower cost price point, which is very feasible with budget-constrained organizations, typically in education, universities, school boards, and government, which are investing and putting money into cloud computing as we speak.
Yeah, and to add to that, David, I think also one of the applications we didn't highlight was the event notification in those verticals is very strong. Being able to notify people and drive them into a conference bridge application also plays very well in that vertical.
That's right. So the thing we didn't touch on, but in that segment of education, is Vmerge has an embedded solution that does emergency or mass event notification, which is obviously a solution that every government, local, state, as well as school is looking at. So now instead of buying another servicing, managing another service, that move over to Vmerge or Google Apps provides that application as part of it. So they can just basically add that solution to the existing infrastructure and then cover all these technology investments that they're looking at.
Okay, great. We're just approaching the 1 hour mark, so I think that's a good stopping point. I just want to thank all of our presenters today, David, John, and Rob from Voice Mobility, and also Aaron from Serena Software for sharing their experiences with Vmerge. We had a lot of great questions, and I think this was very informative. I want to remind everyone that we are recording the webinar, and I will be posting the recording and a copy of the presentation on the solution provider site by the end of today. So I know this was a lot of information to absorb in 1 hour, but you'll be able to access it on the solution provider site and go through it at your own pace. I'll also provide contact information, probably for John and everyone else at Voice Mobility, so if you do want to get started, we'll have some information on the site for how you can go about doing that. So again, thank you to all of our presenters. Thank you to all of our attendees for joining, and check back in a couple hours to access the recording of the webinar. Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you, Michelle.